Today, let's talk about 4 necessary components for an INFJ to have a healthy, long-lasting relationship. And the things I'm going to talk about today aren't something that are supposed to be considered like the magic thing that's going to give us all the answers. It's just one more component that we can look into. And very often, if you're able to look at something from a bird's eye view, it'll give you all the answers. Because most of the time, we as INFJs are looking to understand why it's not working out. Because guess what? What is the most important thing for us is to understand things, to have like this understanding of how the world works. And if there's something that we just can't understand, it just, makes us want to understand it even more. But maybe we're looking at it from the wrong direction. So everything works out, great. We're probably not asking those questions. But if there's something that is not going quite the way we want, I believe that if you look into the 4 components we're going to talk about today, it will give you an answer that will help you to move on, because you know that this is not leading anywhere, at least not right now, with the way how everybody is seeing the world, how everybody is set up. It might work out in the future, but if you're going to wait, you don't even know, just let life happen. It's not meant to be right now or maybe ever, because some things are just missing. And we don't need to get very specific. We don't need to go into the itty-gritty part of things, but we do need an understanding. And so I believe the 4 components today will help us get that understanding. Before we get started, I want to remind you the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp is launching tomorrow. So we're going to have a free masterclass here on YouTube. I'm looking forward to seeing so many of you join our amazing INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp community, in which we continuously work on creating our INFJ Epic Life. We're always taking it one step further, and we're helping each other, encouraging each other in the process. So everything you need to know, you can find in the links in the description. I see you there. The 4 components I'm talking about are very simple. The first one is your own self-love. The second one is your ability to adapt to another person. The third one is the self-love of another person and their ability to adapt to you. So very simple, you might stop now, but it's not as simple as it sounds. First off, what is self-love? It's so difficult to define. And I can tell you, in the moments where I've gotten myself most in trouble, where I wasn't protecting myself, where I was, overextending myself, I was convinced that I was loving myself. I thought I have enough love for both of us. It's all great. And so with time, I understood, okay, this wasn't really self-love, because there were parts of me I hadn't accepted yet. And so what we need is all 4 of those aspects. And everything that involves a situation where not all 4 of those aspects are obviously intact, it's a fantasy. And knowing that it's a fantasy is a great thing, because fantasies can be a great thing. I can tell you the biggest love stories of my life. They, of course, happen in my mind. I'm not saying they didn't happen in real life. They were based on reality. But, we as INFJs, we have such great and intense experiences in our mind. And, that's how it is for everybody, of course. But I do believe that our way of experiencing emotional intensity is very unique and is intense by nature. That's how we are. And so if I was able to put my emotional experiences, in a movie and sell it, I would. I think this thing was epic. I think those experiences that I've had were epic. Even looking back at some situations now, I would say, yeah, it was epic in my mind. In reality, maybe it was a different story, but who cares? It was worth it. But if you know that it's a fantasy, if you know that this is part of your creativity actually, and that this is art, you can manage it much better than if you think about, oh, but this could be reality. Why isn't it reality? And you can make it very clear to your mind if something is reality or not. And that's the 4 things that I talked about. So sometimes we don't know, do I really love myself? We don't really know, am I able to adapt to another person? Yes, those are things that we might interpret incorrectly. We're probably not going to interpret them in a way of, I don't love myself and I'm not able to adapt to another person. right? This is probably the case that happens the least likely. Like, we're not even questioning things like this. The situations that get interesting, where there's some things that are unclear, are mostly situations where we believe I love myself and I believe I am able to adapt to another person. And then most likely it's also because we think the other person has feelings for us. The component that is most likely missing is the component of, is this person able to adapt to me? And when we really look at a situation, it's not about us thinking that, oh, with the way their mind works, if they would just change their approach, they could adapt to me, right? It's not like that. Like, even if it would work, like, even if you were completely right, like, let's say you would be able to really predict 100%ly that that person would be able to adapt to you and that they have feelings for you. If they're not loving themselves, it's not happening. And sometimes we're not able to recognize if we love ourselves, but we can definitely recognize if another person doesn't love themselves. So every single time they're not connecting with you through their authentic selves, this is not a person who loves themselves. They haven't accepted themselves completely. So in situations where I thought I loved myself, I was still able to see that that person didn't love themselves. And I believe INFJs are able to see this really quickly. I can guarantee you, if another person doesn't love themselves, and this is not a black and white kind of thing. Of course there are levels to gray and all of that, but if it's something that is so obvious that they're acting in a way that is definitely not in their best interest, they're definitely self-sabotaging, whatever that may be, and even if they were able to adapt to you, what you actually want as an INFJ is to create deep intimacy. And that deep intimacy is based on, we connect on, a human level where everybody is connecting at their authentic self's level. That is what we want. I've never met an INFJ who's been satisfied in a relationship where they're with somebody who, is sort of there, but they're not actively connecting with you through their authentic self. So we as INFJs very often believe we see their authentic self, and let's say we're even correct, because I believe we can, grasp a lot of it. Like, we know that, okay, I'm never going to completely understand the other person, but if they would accept themselves, if they would finally see them the way I see them, and they would appreciate themselves for who they are, that's how they would show up. And then it would be all possible. They could adapt to me, so they could actually see what I want and give me that. They could love themselves, because only then they can actively connect to us. And then we can think about, okay, do I actually love myself? Am I actually able to adapt to another person? And I believe we as INFJs are, first off, very often very, very good at adapting to other people. So I believe that is something that is most of the time really given. And that is something that makes us feel like, oh, we could have a connection with somebody, even if they don't have both of those other components. Very often we recognize rather late that we weren't loving ourselves because we stuck out in situations that weren't getting anywhere. But again, sometimes it's difficult to really identify, oh, do I really love myself? Like, yeah, there's always something that is in a blind spot. Like, you can't really know this for sure. And of course, it's a spectrum. It's not like, today I love myself, 2 days ago I didn't love myself. Like, it's not like that. But I definitely know I love myself now way more than I loved myself 10 years ago. Like, that's something that I know for sure. But the other aspects are rather easy to spot. So if you have a person who even would be able to adapt to you because they're, let's say, intuitive feelers, or they, have all your functions in common, or whatever it may be, even if you had a moment where you were able to connect on an authentic level, if that person doesn't love themselves, they're not going to be able to give you what you actually want, which is an authentic relationship that is based on deep intimacy. And so what I've experienced, and this is, independent of type, because you have with some types where the emotional intimacy can be much deeper just because there's just so many functions in common, for example, or other preferences, like let's say NF preferences or, whatever it may be. So that is one thing, but you can actually have real meaningful relationships with every single type as long as that person is first off willing to see what you need. That is a notion of adaptability towards you. And second of all, a level of self-love, which allows them to authentically show up. So sometimes, and this is actually also a very interesting part, you have people who would be able to adapt to you, but you would have to be the one who tells them what you need, who aren't intuitives, who aren't feelers, who aren't like that adept to really pick up what you want by you just being yourself. And that is where we lean more into this fear of, am I loving myself enough to really set up boundaries and to say, this is not something I like, and not go from the notion of, oh, that person should sense what I need. If a person is acting in a way that doesn't make you feel good, this is not a lost case. It's a lost case, at least for now, the way you show up, the way they show up. If you tell them, this is not what I like, this is what I want, this is what I need, and that person is not able or willing to give that to you. And so you can really spend years debating in your mind why things worked out, why things didn't work out, whatever was wrong. But as long as a person is not at a level of really appreciating themselves for who they are, and I do believe that most INFJs are able to detect that rather easily, like even if there are parts of us we haven't integrated yet, I think this is something we can pick up even from a younger age. Like some people, they need more time or more experience in order to get to this place of recognizing if another person loves themselves. But for us, the thing we have to learn is self-love in so many ways. But a thing we can recognize rather early is if a person is not authentically themselves, which is always a sign of, okay, there's a level of, neglect in their level of self-love. Doesn't mean that we don't have a lot that we have to work on, but they definitely are not at a place where this could work. So of course, easier said than done. Save yourself the headache. Look at a situation from this. If we need answers, sometimes it's important to take a step back and ask different questions. And so this is one of the tools that I find is very useful, that allows us to actually look at a situation rather superficially from a bird's eye view and still know, is this worth pursuing, as in like mentally pursuing? Because some things can be very complex, but a simple answer is also sufficient. So if you, for example, see that one of your friends is in a physically abusive relationship, you don't need the details. You don't need to know what that partner went through, what has caused them to experience that trauma, what is the dynamic. You directly know the answer to this question is, this is bad, you need to get out of there, this is not healthy. What is a safe way to remove yourself out of that? It's very clear cut for us because, again, we didn't look at the details. A very superficial look at the situation is enough for us to have a sufficiently right, analysis of the situation. The details don't matter. And in a similar sense, we can really look at, situationships, for example, or anything that isn't going in a direction where it's supposed to go in our mind, from the question of the 4 components. If they're not all intact, it's not happening. And the only way it might ever happen is if you take a step back, you focus on your path, and you allow that person to make the choice for themselves. Do I want to change something about this? Even if I change, is it going to be enough? And to really accept people for who they are in that moment and not for their potential. So I hope that was a helpful addition to your toolbox. Remember, if you want to learn more tools about approaching relationships as an INFJ, this is also a pillar we talk about in the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp. It's one of the 5 pillars we tackle. So it's something that we do every bootcamp. It's lifetime access. So once you're in it, you can participate in all future bootcamp rounds. So I welcome to join us. We are going to have a free masterclass tomorrow. You'll see the time when it's going to be live if you click on the link in the description. If you have any other questions, write us at info@wenzes.com. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing many of you there and joining us in this bootcamp round. Everything you might want to know, you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.